Hello everyone, welcome to this video lecture on Bama's Karukku explanations of the chapter 3. This video is part of the discussion of the novel Karukku by Bama, which is prescribed for compulsory foundation course in English, the 4th semester English language paper of BCA and BSc at Mangalore University. Welcome to today's video. Here I attempt to discuss the opening part of the chapter 3 in Bama's Karukku. So in the last two chapters, particularly the first chapter which focused on the village life and it introduced the nature of people lived in Bama's village. I mean their culture, their celebrations and some characters and their unique way of life were also introduced to us. Again, in the second one, we went through the way Bama, her journey of life traveled, the way she was exposed to different levels of discriminations, what actually made her a wounded self to write Karukku. And now, in the third one, we are going to take up another issue that she's going to highlight. Let's see. So here again she recounts her life experience of the age of 11. During when she was 11, she mentions her mother delivered twins. Usually people get happy, so when the arrival of siblings to any family will cause happiness. But there was some problem in their family. They were delighted, not that they didn't, but they had some kind of hindrance or hesitation or worry also, because the older folk were particularly troubled because it was a time of unrest. What kind of unrest? There were intercaste disputes. Due to those intercaste tensions and disputes, it wasn't possible for them to live or bring up even those children happily. Therefore, the elderly folk in the family, they got troubled when they came to know the delivery gave them two children. So because it was difficult to bring up twins at that time also, it was a time of dispute, as I told you, between two caste people, the Parayars and the Chaliars. So the symmetry, the issue of that dispute was the symmetry where the Dalit Christians buried the dead was next to the Chaliar community school, while the upper caste Christians had their beyond the bus stand. Bama, in her every sentence, exposes something, the presence of difference. Here also you can see the Dalit Christians were provided a separate symmetry, whereas other Christians, the upper caste Christians, were given a different symmetry near the bus stand. The place for even burial was different from different for different background of the Dalit Christians. Anyhow, so the fight actually arose between the Chaliar and the Parayar is due to the Chaliar claimed the symmetry as their own land by provoking fights. They created constant fights, skirmishes and fisticuffs. This led to unrest in the whole village. Even the Chaliar planned to acquire it as the school playground or the garden to their school. That was nearer to adjacent. Their community school was nearer to this place, right? Chaliar community school was next to that cemetery. They wanted to make it their playground. To make it a playground to the school, they made it a battleground to fight against the Parayars, and this proves an example of intercaste dispute among the Dalits. Then, so this led to the rivalry between between the castes, and actually you can see the way Bama mentions all these things. When come to the language, the national varieties of language, for example, language like English, are known as accents. We also find regional varieties. From one region to another we find some differences. They are known as dialects. Sometimes within the region, between the two streets or between the two class or caste people, you find different kind of languages. Same language used or spoken in a different way. These are known as social acts. One such example of social act, the very translation of the Tamil social act is available in page number 29, the third paragraph of the chapter 3. You can attempt to read that and find out the way the thought is particular to that local dialect. Then, so the Chaliar held uppity, you can see the word uppity, superiority, and as they possessed riches than them. Yeah, they were rich. Compared to the pariahs, they were rich and they had money. Besides, other caste people jeered at them about their fear of the pariahs. You see, this is another thing. So, third people's entry, third party's entry to lead them to fight between. So this happens. This happened throughout the history. You can see that many kingdoms and kings fought for this reason only. When two were living together, the third one enters and who does something. Just like the example of the Ramayana where Mantare does something to Kaikeyi to demand something from, demand Rama's, not throning Rama from Dasharatha's side, right? So you can see this idea is there throughout the history, and that tempts or motivates the person who is subjected to it to go for some kind of harsh actions. This happened here also. You can see the pariahs, the people, other caste people, they jeered at them, they mocked at them that they have the fear of the pariah. I mean, they mocked at the Chaliars that they had the fear of pariahs, and they spurred them, encouraged them, motivated them to go for fight. They kept on quarreling, though they knew the strength of the pariah boys. Here you can see Bama is she sounds as if she's proud of her boys because they are strong in her opinion. They had the courage. Still, the Chaliars continued to fight with the pariah boys. The pariah forbade their people going past the Chaliar and be cautious carrying a weapon even if they go. You see the way things are going on. So they forbid the people walking in front of or in the street belongs to a Chaliar because there is a possibility of danger, right? The tension is tension is there serious, therefore it may lead to any kind of battle. Therefore, they even prohibited people walking past the Chaliar streets, and they have given all the necessary cautions to their men, for example, to carry some weapon always. But still, the Chaliar had stabbed Isava's husband, who was from the North Street, and caused shock and lamentation. See, so though the Chaliar stabbed one of the members of the pariah community, that is Isava's husband, who probably did not carry any weapon. And moreover, you see, this led to a shock to the whole community. Killing for the sake of something, right? That led to the shock in the community and also a lot of lamentation or mourning over it. Bama mentions the horror of the situation through some people's words. You can see the way they mourned. Such a stout man that Isava's husband, yet those Chaliar boys stabbed and felled him. See, again, summary says, it seems that the spear with which they struck his thigh pierced it right through and came out of the other side. Look at the horror of that murder. The stab, the dagger that they used that pierced into the one side and it appeared to the other side, in the sense it was the horrible thing on the thigh, right? ತೊಡೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಚುಚ್ಚಿದ್ದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕ್ರೂಯಲ್ ಆದ ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಅದು. It seems there was blood everywhere. It seems the old fellow just sank down right there. By a lucky chance that Paniyaramattu Mama saw him at that moment and rushed to tell the menfolk. Otherwise, he would have lost the little thread of life left in him. There was a possibility of his life then. ಉಳಿಯುವ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. But they brought him, at once they yoked a cart, yoking a cart, right? Tying together of oxen, yoked a cart and took him away to the free hospital, And if he survives, it will be as if he has been granted a new life. People are saying things like this in the street. Bama remembers those statements of her childhood, so powerful statements, because they express that they throw light on the horror of the incident where an intercaste dispute led to the murder of a poor man. Isn't it the way we struggle and fight within ourselves and lose a bigger thing in the country? It's a reflection on one particular community, or maybe Dalits in the context, but it is true. It is true because we fight within the states, within the districts, within the taluks, within the country, and ultimately leads to the divisions and loss. That's why it's a reflection on everybody who cause or who make this kind of thing. Anyhow, that's why, dear friends, I can recall that the poem of our William Blake, who writes in his line, he says, "And I watered it in fierce poison tree," right? In the poem, the poison tree, the enmity that he is speaking about, "I watered it in fierce night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with soft deceitful wiles." Ultimately, that poison tree, and it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright, and my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. Right? So a poison tree that bare that gave the fruit, but it was just not a good fruit, but a poison fruit. If some friend or somebody would eat it and die some other day. It's like nourishing a poison tree. Right? Enmity is like nourishing a poison tree. Similar example you can see, it will lead to any extent here in this case. Then the Chaliar held uppity as they possessed. That is what uppity is a word you can rarely see. That is the dominance that they exhibited. Then, so still the Chaliar has stabbed him, and the lines can be seen here that reflect the horror. Right? Anyhow, next we see the rivalry between the caste therefore increased. It reaches probably a feverish pitch. Bama's account of Mama Paralokam speech in page number 31 of OUP can even disclose the way hatredness or the tension of the communal tension, not a communal tension. Still, it is the hatredness between the two castes, hostility between the two sects increased. After the incident, it shows the fury and disgrace and their plan to avenge. They don't stop, right? They want to avenge it. See, dear students, you can see the word avenge and revenge. Revenge is a noun. If one wants to take revenge on somebody, that is avenging the revenge. Avenge is the verb form, it avenge. So they wanted to avenge. Therefore, they're waiting for the opportunity. The old woman, Tawasi, said the same. Even an old woman, no, she has the same idea, right? She said the same. The people ran towards the cemetery with knives and staves, right? You can see knives, chakugalannu hidukondo, staves galannu hidukondo, right? The daggers galannu hidukondo. They ran towards that. The entire street followed. Yeah. The fight came to a head at the cemetery gardens. Hidden behind trees, the Chaliar women flung stones at them. See the way involvement of women also. The Chaliar women, they hid behind the behind the trees, and they flung present tense, flung stones at them. Women also participated in the battle. You can see that, right? As their men, I'm not telling that they cannot, but you see the involvement of women, which was equivalent to men. But on the other side, you see the prominence and importance to women wasn't there in that patriarchal system. The old women, the fight therefore reached its fever pitch here. As their men fell behind, the Chaliar men ran past them, scrambled into the school building, locked the doors. You can see when some men fell behind, so they locked the door and hid themselves. The abuse of rage from the pariahs. See the way, you can see the word again. Another example of social act, look and horse in page number 32. So you can see that those lines here in in the middle of the page number 32, look, in the opening, look, if they had only fallen into my hands, I don't have pulverized them. They are cowards who take to their heels at this very sight of our faces. How come they put on such airs, sons of whores? See the way, language which is very abusive one, that was the words of anger, right? At the same time, it is due to that, mourning that they are, or the tension that they had due to the death of, or the loss of their community man. After a good deal of exchange of abuses, life gradually returned to normalcy. Then the rivalry between the castes, after a few days of peace, the fight, it continued. Rivalry between the castes continues. So therefore you can see after a few days of peace, a fight broke out again because a pariah had beaten up by a chaliyar. Right? Again, an incident continued. A pariah had beaten up. Now this time it is a pariah who beaten up a chaliyar. And the latter, that is a chaliyar who received that, who was beaten up, who went to lodge a fabricated complaint at the police station, including a lot that had not happened. A fabricated complaint, lies, ಸುಳ್ಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಹೆಣೆದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸುಳ್ಳಿನ ಕಂತೆಯನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟನ್ನು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. Now there happens the entry of the police. Workers complained that they should have complained when they struck Chinnappan Machan. So this is the example. The name of the person who died then from the Parayar community is Chinnappan Machan. And an old man, Workis, now says we should have complained. Now complain ಮಾಡಿರಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಈಗ ನೆನಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. Came to know the charge was against the entire community instead of the one who hit that fellow. See the thing, the way the chaliyars now use the technique. They went to give a complaint against the entire community of the Parayas. Already community ಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು complaint ಅನ್ನು. Then the police believed the damage without inquiry. They did not made much inquiry. They accepted the complaint. Maybe they have made it because themselves, and they set it all up. Right? Probably we came to know one thing earlier, that the chaliyars were rich. They had money. Some of them had money. That means they probably used that money power to make this complaint strong against the poor Parayas. Then, so it was decided. So they decided to get their headmen to organize. That was the need of the hour. Parayas decided to organize themselves, collect the weapons they needed, and finally prepare county bombs using Katterembu's son. There was a person, Katterembu's son can prepare bombs, and they wanted to take his help, not to let them off. And Bama wanted to see the showdown, planned to take place at the cemetery. She wanted to see that fight. That was Bama's wish, but she knew they would keep her locked in. She was a child of 11 years, right, as she mentioned already. Then they locked her inside the house. She was not able to go. Since her younger brother and sister fell ill, her mother and grandmother went to hospital, leaving her to look after home. Look at the situation that day. Bama was alone, right, at home with her younger brother and younger sister, and her mother and grandmother went out. In a short time, the street was in an uproar, right? Idi raste enagate was in uproar, in a total din or a disturbance. Went to the door and struck her head out of to see people running and felt like going with them. So there was a moment of battle again, fight again. People were running like anything. Then she hesitated then for a moment. She wanted to go and join them, but hesitated, as afraid of being thrashed by mother later, not by the fighting people and all that. She was curious to see the things, but she would be beaten later if she goes out. Therefore, she stopped inside the house, rushed off towards the cemetery, leaving house to her little sister. But she couldn't stay at home. She simply went out and she rushed off to the cemetery to see the battle. There, Bama's people standing on their side of the street, throwing stones, and men began to move forward, still throwing stones and carrying sticks and poles, and women and children followed. See, people belong to Bama's community. They went forward with weapons and with stones, and they were going towards the Chaliyar household. And they concluded there was no response from them, So they concluded that Chaliyar defeated as no response from them. Yeah, the Chaliars were defeated because there was no response from them. Only it was one-sided battle. As they were rejoicing, they were enjoying or rejoicing it, suddenly a huge gang of policemen came out of the Chaliar settlement. You see, they were inside. The police were inside the Chaliar settlement. They came out of that settlement with batons in hand. They had batons, right? Latigalu, batons in hand. They drove their men back ruthlessly. They beat and they drove their men back ruthlessly, came out of the Chaliar settlement. Yeah, they all ran out of, police came out of the Chaliar settlement and drove the men belong to Bama's community, out. Then, with batons in hand, they punished them also. The police came to their part of the village too, rounded up all the men whom they found there and beat them black and blue. You can say an idiom, black and blue means severe punishment, right? Wounds, causing wounds, severe beating up, right? They beat them black and blue. These are idioms. Idioms in any language. There are, idioms are very in all language. Even in Kannada we have nudigattugalu. Tumba ive. English nalli kuda. So they are culturally packed words. They are related to, they have the background of some culture. For example, we say, it rained cats and dogs. That has a kind of history behind that. Right? Something that happened in London during a heavy rain, which caused even the cats and dogs to climb the tree. So there is some incident related to that. That led to the creation of that idiom. Similarly, in India, for example, due to Mahabharata, we have an idiom like Arjuna's bird view. That is some incident from the Mahabharata that has led to the creation of an idiom, the Arjuna's bird view. So you can see here again, beat them black and blue in the sense it was a severe beating to them, punishing them severely. Raining blows, they drove them into their lorries and few escaped. See, they rounded them all and arrested them and brought them to their lorries, right? Like, treating them like beasts. That was the situation, you see, the atrocity of the police on them. There begins that kind of punishment on them. The children and the women ran fast. Some escaped, some men also escaped. And children also and women ran fast, stumbled into their houses, right? They walked inside the houses, stumbled, out of difficulty they walked inside their houses. The thud of police boots stamping up and down, the sharp sounds of the people crying heard along the street, right? Their men cry in pain, that sharp sound was heard. The women cried out in pity as their men were being beaten, right? Tanna community, tanna ಸಂಬಂಧಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ಪುರುಷರನ್ನು ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಕೂಡ ದುಃಖಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅವರು ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Her mother and grandmother returned from hospital. Bama told them what had happened. They chided her for going out. Chide means blamed her for, they warned her for or blamed her for going out. The unrest ended in the evening, leaving the street silent and still and as desolate as cremation ground. You see the simile she uses. The whole street was similar to that of a cremation ground. Samadhi sthala, ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡುವ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಮೌನ ಆವರಿಸ್ತದೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಡೆಸೊಲೇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್, ಎ ವೆರಿ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್, ರೈಟ್? No men could be seen, while some women huddled together here and there were seen whispering among themselves. So there were women who gathered and they were talking, whispering in a light voice, right? ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿ ಧ್ವನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. In the dense silence, ನೋಡಿ, in the dense silence, there was widespread silence everywhere. The babies' cries cut into their hearts, causing agony or pain in them, right? A baby's cry ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಪುಟ್ಟ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಕೂಗು ಅವ್ರ ಎದುರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಚುಚ್ಚುವಂತೆ ಇತ್ತು, right? That's the way she narrates the incident. Thus you find Bama takes up the discussion of this incident in order to show, this is an incident from her childhood, in order to show the rivalry between the castes and sub-caste in our society. This on the one hand throws light on the in a miniature, it's in the macro level, not in the micro, but in the macro level, that rivalry existed between castes in our society. But also she presents a very important factor which hinders the unity of the Dalits in India, that is inter-caste or within the caste fights and rivalry. The author makes a rational attempt therefore here to explore the threats in our society for the well-being of Dalits, because they fight within themselves. That is the opinion that Bama is trying to give here by showing the horrible incident of battle between the Chaliyars and the Parayars. So anyhow, thank you for watching this part of the video. We'll continue the discussion of next part in the next video. See you in the next video. Thank you.